great fighter when he has character plus skill. Because a fighter with character and skill will often rise and be the better fighter because of it.
They first met as teenagers in training camp of a legend. Cus D'Amato had been training champions since the 1950s. He was sure as gravity and taxes that his newest pupil would be his greatest. He found Mike Tyson after he was put into state custody following a crime spree. Tyson was obese and abused. He was picked on by the other boys until they put him in a boxing ring. When Tyson punches a hole through his boys' home sparring partners, his mentor puts him in contact with Cus. Stood across from him was a lanky teenage Lennox Lewis. Born in London, he immigrates to Canada when his parents split. Lennox was a top athlete in multiple sports, but in his bones, he knew he was a boxer. Lennox was touring with the Canadian national team. The coach got word of Cus's new heavyweights. Lennox was already a head taller than Tyson. Cus told Mike to take this sparring seriously because he'd fight this kid for the heavyweight championship someday. What happened in that ring, only a privileged few eyes and memories recall.
They came together to spar as teenagers, and Tyson's trainer, Cus D'Amato, made a prophetic prediction.
Cus D'Amato would say, these guys are going to meet in the future.
As usual, Cus D'Amato was absolutely right. Their roads diverged with the Olympics. Cus knew he didn't have much time left. He knew he had a champion. He knew that Tyson was wound so tightly and he had such little time to teach the pupil he waited all his life for. If Mike Tyson was going to be the champion of the world, it would have to be soon.
And only by letting him know that he had these qualities and he had these abilities and potentials would enable him to get the real solid deep down in the belief in himself.
March 6, 1985, Mike Tyson makes his professional debut. From that day, from that first round liver shot on, Mike Tyson might have already been the best heavyweight boxer on planet Earth. The streak Tyson went on for the first 2 years was horrifying. There is no synonym for how dominant Tyson was. Not just his primal speed and brutal power. Every move, he was close to perfect. He could throw any punch with either hand to either level. His head movement opened brutal counters. Young Mike Tyson fought with feet. He'd cut the ring and trap opponents, only to step off the side and arc a hook between their gloves. This is the Tyson many consider the best heavyweight who ever lived.
So it's about time I believed I'm the best. And now that I believed I'm the best, that's when it became fun. And thanks because, I picked it up kind of late. I just realized it really that I'm the best. I believed in myself, but everybody else in the country and everybody else that's only fight already knew it. And I'm the only one that didn't know it.
Cus dies November 4th, 1985. Leaves Tyson in the care of Kevin Rooney. Under Rooney, Tyson flourished. Just days after the anniversary of Cus's death, Tyson throws a single left hook that turns WBC champion Trevor Berbick into a human 8-ball.
Well, I didn't believe him. first unbelievable. What he said was such a grand scale. I said, no way. He just met me. I'm a little kid. He said, you're gonna be the world champ, Brian. See how this guy know that I didn't know I was the one.
Mike Tyson was a star bordering on supernova in 1988.
By either of you. Against the guy that hadn't fought in a long time in Jerry Cooney, the right hand lands to the head of Mike.
He bombs out the lineal champion, Michael Spinks, in 90 seconds.
Nothing really heavy landing yet, but he's taking him. The uppercut, body shot, down goes. Mike Spinks took him down. Here comes Mike Spinks in. He leads to the right hand. Down he goes. I don't think you get up from this. Mike Tyson has won it. Spinks almost fell back through a dramatic first round knockout for Mike Tyson. Unbelievable fight. It came in the first round.
While Mike was built like a bull, lanky teenage Lennox Lewis took his time to mature physically. As Lennox is winning a gold medal, Mike Tyson is already a star bordering on supernova. While Tyson implodes, Lennox Lewis lays into contender after contender in the remains of a Tyson-less division.
They're telling him not to counterpunch.
And Weaver's down.
Donovan Razor Ruddock was one of few to force Prime Tyson to go a few rounds.
Integrity or his honesty. Glory in the center of the ring, midway through the fifth. Mike Tyson and Ruddock continues to
He lasted 8 the first fight with Tyson, getting knocked down twice, but holding on and surviving.
Tyson applies the pressure. He's got him where he wants him now.
Ruddock did even better the second time around.
Razor Ruddock almost disdaining his hook. Wobbled Ruddock a bit. Oh, down goes Ruddock. Up and over. Oh, hard shot. There goes Ruddock again. He's down. Canvas as well as Razor. And back comes Tyson. Two nice hooks. Nice uppercut. Countering, Lee's responded well. Good hard punch by Tyson. Tyson sucking air, looking for that second win. Now, here's Ruddock with the left, another left. Nice counter punch by Tyson. With the right hand, hard. Tyson digging to the ring.
Actually making the final bell with a beast from Brownsville, Brooklyn.
And then Ruddock answered with a low blow as the bell sounds. They both
Mighty Mike Tyson!
When Lennox fought Ruddock a year later, it did not take long for Lennox to make a statement. A 1-2 caught Ruddock as he crouched.
Right hand by Lewis. Ruddock goes down. A smashing right cross with perfect accuracy behind the jab. You cannot.
What took Tyson all night took Lennox about 4 minutes.
He's got a right hand to worry about too. Lewis hurting Ruddock with the left hook. Ruddock in serious trouble as Lewis pounds into the canvas. Second knockdown of the fight. And already Tyson Ruddock fights. Lennox Lewis is in total command now.
He left Ruddock a puddle on the floor.
Right hand to the body. Ruddock in trouble. Second knockdown of round 2.
That's all.
Cortez stops the fight.
Lewis may turn out to be greatest heavyweight in British history, but the greatest fighter in European history. I agree.
Lennox was declared the WBC champion after Ruddock, the man he beat for his gold medal, refused to defend his championship against him.
You lied on me. I thought we was cool.
Yo, bring it on, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it. I'm gonna bring you. You ain't said nothing but a word. Ruddock was afraid of you.
I'm gonna knock you out.
You was a chump. You gonna knock nothing out, boy.
I'm gonna knock you out.
You gonna knock nothing out.
You know I'm
gonna knock nothing out. You know, do it then. Do it then.
His first reign was cut short when he ran into one of Mike's old friends. Oliver McCall was Tyson's main sparring partner, because Oliver McCall might be the most durable fighter in boxing. But after quitting the worst job in human history, Tyson's old sparring partner went to Detroit to train under Emanuel Stewart and make his own run at the championship. When McCall fights his way into a title match with Lennox, Manny Stewart saw something. Lennox dropped his offhand when he jabbed. Manny caught this bad habit and trained Oliver to take advantage.
Involved with everything else. And you know, Larry, he was so wound up, and I noticed that in the dressing room, I think the first round very important.
All first round, he was looking for that sweeping left hook.
Lewis pawing with the jab. Lewis misses with the right. If the first round is a prototype, so far it's a good one for Oliver.
Perhaps that's also the fight plan of
doing is working. It's clumsy, but it's working. When he jabs, how you know you're blocking and you're throwing a hook, right. Keep doing it because it's not landing, but it's moving him all over balance.
McCall got the jab he wanted and leveled Lennox with a two-piece in the second.
There's that right hand right on the button.
What is this? The WBC's referee has stopped this fight.
Winner and new WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Oliver McCall.
You knocked him down. He gets up at the count of 6. He was wobbly. He was glazed.
He would have got knocked out again.
But are we going to see you again, Lennox?
Yes, I may be down, but I'm not out.
After the fight, Manny pointed out the flaw in his style. Lennox hired Manny Stewart as his trainer. As Manny Stewart set about ironing out all the little wrinkles in Lennox's boxing game, Tyson emerges from prison a different fighter, but still deadly all the same. After a few quick KOs,
Land something or else it's just a question of a few seconds.
And Lewis side, and crack. Oh, he got a right uppercut, another right uppercut, and down goes.
Yeah, a nice long rest there, but he has felt. Back comes Sheldon, and Tyson with a left butt hand. Oh, Tyson with a left hook, a right uppercut.
Tyson took on the emerging third member of the triumvirate of 90s heavyweights.
To these early brawling tactics, a hand up, quick right by Tyson.
They got his attention, and good.
Tyson unleashing uppercuts to the body, digging to the...
Mike Tyson's fights with Evander Holyfield were some of the most violent nights in boxing history.
The jab Mike didn't have in the first fight.
But that's another story for another day.
What happened here?
He got bit, I think.
Evander Holyfield, look out, he's pushed right here above the end of the fight. Tyson's trying to get at Holyfield again, I believe. It is complete bedlam, and Tyson is just taking...
Tyson carried on after the losses, but he no longer loved it. It was his job. The spark of interest Cuss had built into a roaring blaze had all but consumed itself. The smoking cinders of Mike Tyson still carried some heat. He was still fast and powerful, but he was no longer committed to the craft. While Tyson's star fell from the sky, Lennox only ascended. While Tyson was giving increasingly outlandish interviews,
As content as you can be now with the situation that you have.
I want to fight, and disrupt the world because I'm the best fighter in the world. Thank you very much, Larry.
Lennox was playing reggae, chess, and on a collision course with Evander Holyfield. In 1999, Lennox and Evander met to unify the heavyweight championship. As expected, It was a close contest, with Lennox dictating outside with his jab.
Should go to the body. He can't protect that. Double jabs for Lewis. Sometimes firing it aggressive. Left 17 punches around. Won't win for Evander Holyfield. The Holyfield fans are wondering why their man doesn't get...
While Evander bombed away when he got inside.
What it is, the right hand right there. Flush for Holyfield. Lewis seemingly stunned again. Tried reaching to do so. Come up with the uppercut. Lewis lands a hard right hand by Lewis. The defensive. Right hand lands again. So far, he's following it almost to the tee, but Holyfield...
It resulted in the most bittersweet of all things in boxing.
Getting a little edge.
A draw. When the rematch was held later that year, Lennox was a cut above the real deal.
Repeatedly, and allow this guy to get the distance again into a fight. He didn't need to be in the fight. And we're cutting out. Buster Douglas got himself knocked out against Evander Holyfield. Trying to Holyfield, and this is the result. Lewis to the body. His own right hand lands flush. So it's a much more even fight, but despite everything we're saying, he's been in with a lot of giants. He's never backed down from the front. Evander Holyfield won't back down from anybody. Uppercut lands for Lewis. Holyfield misses. Telling Lennox Lewis the fight is close. In 5 more seconds of fighting. They fought a lot better fight this time. And the fans...
And the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Lennox Lewis.
The Lion from London had earned his place as head of the Pride. Mike still ruined any heavyweight he hit. While Lennox was aging like wine, Mike was aging like a pressure fighter. Mike had become increasingly unstable as his career was coming to a close. While Lennox quietly owned the division,
I just come to conquer. That's all, just come to conquer. Any guy that steps in front of me get knocked out straight away, you know what I mean?
Mike Tyson was threatening to eat his kids.
Gonna rip his heart out. I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. Lennox is a conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody as ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from their cloth. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat his children. Praise be to Allah.
It might have taken almost 2 decades to come true. But June 8, 2002, in Memphis, Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis finally met for the heavyweight championship.
Lewis, it is backing up a little, unlike what Manny Stewart told him to do. Big uppercut for Lewis. He thinks Tyson's hurt.
Tyson gave it a try when Lennox refused to budge and kept catching Tyson with uppercuts. You could see the effort slowly fade from him.
Would be the product of Lewis's dad. And then here's Lewis dropping his hands to his waist.
Don't let this man have his way on the outside. You got to be close to this man, you understand?
Lennox was masterful at shutting down Tyson up close and forcing Tyson to carry his weight.
Another right hand flush. And more. Target with another combination. Bobby, how do you have it scored so far?
Lennox Lewis is having his way. Mike, he's able to do whatever he wants. Mike's not posing a threat to him at any part of the game. Lennox Lewis is standing there doing what he wants. There's a left and a right hand. Lennox Lewis using that jab and another right hand, left hook behind it.
For the heavyweight championship again. You understand? Not many people can do that. You understand? Now look.
Manny Stewart saw Tyson for the ghost he was and demanded Lennox finish him.
Some crazy shit. Step it up, the man is finished.
Problem was, Lennox had broken his right hand. So round after round was spent watching Tyson walk onto a taller man's jab.
And another guy who
Tyson started to admit to himself there was no way he could get to Lennox. Admit he just wasn't that Mike Tyson anymore. Once Lennox's right hand, numbered by the adrenaline, started to reappear, It was just a matter of time.
Tyson trying to let his hands go. Catches two huge uppercuts. That's the canvas. First knockdown of the fight. Now Lewis lopsided fight, getting more so. Big shots from Lewis. And that's going to be perhaps the end of the fight.
The pride of Great Britain, Lennox Lewis.
While each man is a shoo-in for the top 10 heavyweights of all time, Lennox at least has truly been able to let the game go. While Tyson peaked early with the stability enforced onto him by Cuss and Kevin Rooney, Lennox had to lose to learn. In losing, he found his mentor and reached his potential. When Tyson lost, Tyson became lost. Fans will forever argue at what point the tortoise passed the hare. That's the thing about the hare. You never know when he's got one more good sprint left in him.
I'm a student of war. I know all the warriors from Charlemagne, Achilles, the #1 warrior of all warriors. From then Alexander, Napoleon, I know them all. I read them all, I studied them all. I know the art of fight, I know the art of war. That's all I ever studied. That's why I'm so feared. That's why they feared me when I was in the ring, because that's all I was an annihilator. That's all I was born for. And now those days are gone. It's empty. I'm nothing. I'm working on being the art of humbleness. Can you believe in me? That's the reason why I'm crying, because I'm not that person no more. And I miss him. I don't want that person to come out, because if he comes out, hell is coming with him.